Yeah, so once again, feel most welcome. Greetings to you all. Uh, this is our Swahili class for Consensusism Study Group. And welcome to those who have joined us. Those who will be watching our recordings, feel most welcome and feel free to share your comment with us anytime you are watching our recording. Let us know what you think. If you have any question, feel free also to put it on our YouTube channel, because now these recordings are available on our YouTube channel. But also you can put questions there. You are free to join us. And to those of us who are here, let's get ready and see what we can do for today. Last time we were doing animals and we learned various parts of animals. Of course, if I can just go up a bit, we learned animals from the starting up with what is the name of animals in Swahili, which is wanyama. If some of you can remember, wanyama or mnyama. So mnyama is singular and wanyama is plural. And insects are mdudu or wadudu. We learned about nyani, learned about dubu, we learned about ndege. We also learned about nguruwe mwitu. We learned about nyati, kipepeo, paka, duma, kuku. We did sokwe, mende, ng'ombe, mamba, and I think we did pa, or we ended with mamba. If somebody can remember. Yeah, we ended with the mamba. We were to do pa as we move forward. So yes, let's pick it up from there. So today we'll start from the pa. And let me start with my side screen a bit. In case you have any question as I try to share more about this, feel free always say that to raise your hand. I can be able to see that so that I can clarify whatever you need to be clarified. I can respond to any question, and you can also maybe notify me whether you can hear me. Just feel free to react or chat anything in the comment. So we start with today pa. The word is pa. Pa. So it's not just pa, it's pa, because it's a double A. So it's like pa. Pa is what they call the deer. But pa has also various meaning. Pa is at the, pa can also mean the edge of the, is it called the linton? The English people call it linton for the house. Those who have done construction, Glenn can tell me that. Is it the linton where the ceiling board meets the other slab? Brother Glenn, are you around? Hello? I don't know the right word for it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm asking, there's a, I don't know the right spelling. Is it linton where the ceiling board meets the lower slab? That space in between, when you build a house, you leave some space in between the iron sheets of the ceiling board and the lower part of the house, just above the windows. There's always a space being left somewhere there.
All right, I didn't catch all of that.
It's called pa. I want to say that the meaning of pa in Swahili is that space when you build houses, maybe based on how you build a house. But in traditional Africa, you find that when somebody's putting on the roof of the house, on top of the structure, the lower, what you call the foundation part, there's always a space in between that is left open. But in modern houses, they don't leave that space. But if you go in traditional houses, it's called
Anyway,
it's called something close to linton. Something, I don't know, it's a linton in English or something like that, or in Swahili. There's something called a linton.
Roof? Is it a roof? The bits between the roof and the
Yes.
I
don't know, it's called the slab. Either the slab and the roof.
the linton is just above the window. That big slab, that's the linton.
Oh, okay, so it's not the linton. Yes. Glenn, come up again.
Is it called the attic?
Spell it R. Is it ARTIC?
Your
ATTIC.
AT.
Attic. ATTIC. I'm not sure about the K. Sister Valerie, how do you spell attic? ATTIC.
Okay. Yeah, basically.
K.
K. Okay.
Okay, it's a K whatever. Basically, it's that notion. So once above the window, you call this a slab. Now, on top of that slab, the space now between the slab and the roof. Most houses do not have it, or modern houses do not have it. But in Swahili, that space also we call it paa. That small space is like a ventilation. That small space along the whole space. It's not a smaller ventilation. Nowadays, you see the houses have a small ventilation they put especially on the bathrooms or some parts of the house. But in Swahili, is the space that you live all around between the roof and the lowest part of the house on top of that lintel. That's also called paa.
Okay, I think you're talking about where they put the roof, the wooden beams
Yes.
on it, make the roof. But I'm not sure what it's actually.
Yeah, just between the what now you call the modern ceiling board and where it meets the slab. So that place is also called paa in Swahili. But also there's another paa which means now to fly. So when the plane takes off, or even when the birds are up there, we say the paa, the plane ndege imepaa. The plane is flying imepaa, which means it's up there flying. So that also means the same word paa. So paa in animal it can mean a deer, or in housing it can mean that space, or in terms of the space of flying it can mean flying, especially for the plane and the bird. It's different from jumping. Flying and jumping is different because jumping in Swahili is called kuruka or ruka. Ruka means jump. So jumping will be kuruka. So jumping is a bit different in terms of wording than flying. So in this case, paa means fly or deer. Is in fact it's a double E, not as a deer. That's the correct meaning of the word paa in terms of animal. Then there's the one we call, I know this one will have problem. It's mumbwa. Mum, not M, it's mum. Then you say boa, mbwa, 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 mbwa. Yes, mbwa. Mbwa is the dog. We don't have plural of it. In plural, it still remains mbwa. Unlike in English, where plural, it has dogs. In Swahili, it's mbwa for a dog or mbwa for dogs. It remains the same. Just the same way with the cow. We have ng'ombe for cow and ng'ombe for cows. We don't have the plural of it. So the same ng'ombe can imply plural, or it can imply singular, based on the number of the dog, the cow or the dogs you have. So dog is mbwa. You can say mbwa. Again, now we have the donkey. The donkey is now punda. Punda. So donkey is punda. 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 That's donkey. Punda. Punda. Donkey. Then we have bata. Bata. But these one have plural. can either have bata or mabata. But it's bata, which means dark. You can mean darks. But bata, especially when you go to the plural of mabata, is very close sometimes to the word mabati. Now, mabata is the plural of darks. But mabati is now the iron sheet. So the word used for construction, for the roofing, iron sheet, we call it mabati. Where the plural of the darks is mabata. The only difference is an I at the end. So they're very close, but here for our purpose of animal, the interest is on bata. Then we have table. That's the elephant. Many people don't know the name of the elephant anyway, but it's tembo. Tembo. Simple. Elephant, tembo. Then you have samaki. Sisabala, I know you know this. I know you know samaki. Yeah, samaki is fish. And then we have nzi. This one is nim. You say first of all nzi. Yes. You don't say nzi, it's nzi. That's the fly, nzi. Then we have twiga. Twiga.
Yeah.
Twiga. There are so many over here. I know in most of Africa there are so many twiga. Then you have, this is also called mbuzi. Mbuzi. It's not mbu. It's not mbu. It's mbu. You pronounce as one word mbu. Mbuzi.
Yes, even in Zulu, it's mbuzi.
Oh. The goat in Zulu is also mbuzi.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. So I think now this Swahili then born directly from Zulu. Yeah. So it's mbu. You don't pronounce M alone. You combine M with B to produce the sound mbu. Mbu. You don't try to pronounce mbuzi. It's not mbuzi. It's mbu. Just say mbu. Ba, mbe, mbu, mbuzi. Then you have pansy. Pansy, like Pan-African. Pansy. That's the grasshopper. So let's go back again. So we started, the first one was pa. That was the first word. Pa means deer. Pa. And the second one was mbwa. That means dog. Mbwa. The third one was punda. That's a donkey. Then bata. Just like the Bata company for the, is it company for shoes? We have them over. Is it a London company?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
I think
bata.
so, but they're very much in
Yeah.
Africa, all over.
Yeah, but they are either from London or UK, something like that.
At the beginning, yeah.
Now they're still up to date. In fact, the for school kids, the black shoe they put on, especially for primary and even secondary, they prefer the butter shoe. But at the end of the day, now they will make soles. The shoe soles are just manufactured here from our industries. So we just make some of them here. But somebody goes to the market, they still have that mentality of the butter is the brand. So you go make your budget for your kid, you must buy a butter shoe. They believe butter shoe is the original shoe. So it's butter. For this is the dark. Then we have tembo. Tembo. There's an artist from Tanzania, he's calling himself Tembo. But that's a nickname. It's called Raivani. Raivani is a Swahili, in fact, the top musicians in Tanzania, but those are the modern musicians of this generation. He called himself Tembo, which means elephant. And surprisingly, in my community, the nickname we call each other, like, not even the nickname, the general name, even if you don't know somebody, we used to call ourselves after animals. Animals. So somebody will tell you Umuga, that means an elephant. No, Liech. So even if it doesn't know, instead of calling your name, we will call you Liech. And you know that's referring to you. So I don't know why, but my community use reference name or nicknames of animals. Kwach, Undiek. You see, those are the names we call ourselves. It's not actual names on the IDs, but the name you refer to your friends anytime. So our community my community, call ourselves a lot of animals. So even when I hear that musician from Tanzania calling himself Tembo, as a nickname, probably I can link with what he says. Then you have samaki. So samaki now, there's now a big class of samaki. But samaki is not only one type of fish, it's fish in general. But now you have various types of fish, which we might have limited vocabularies for them in Swahili, because we didn't go extra mile to prefer more of the seafood as so, but we just take fish for the fish purpose. But there's a whole list of various parts now of the fish. In fact, some I saw in Zanzibar over there. I don't know whether they were fish or they were not, but I could learn sometimes. Even here, I don't trust fish without a head. So I have to see the head first to confirm which fish is that. But that is it. There are people who don't take this fish, especially even in Kenya. But in my community, we eat everything, including the head and the eyes and everything else. We don't leave anything. So we have fish, which is samaki. Then you have nzi. You say nzi. Or if you find it hard, you can add. If you find it hard, you can add an I, a silent I, which is E, before. When you're doing your pronunciation, you can say nzi. But that E should never appear in your writing. The writing is nzi, but you can put an I to say nzi if in case you want to make it easier to pronounce it. Then you have twiga. I wanted to twiga, and then we have pansy, the grasshopper. But I wanted to bring we have the zebras or the zebras. We call them as zebras or zebra. We also call them punda because we believe they look like the donkeys. So we call them punda, but we add a word called milia. So we call them pundamilia, which is the zebra, pundamilia. And I don't know how, then they also are called zebra crossing. I don't know whether that came from the countries where there were zebras crossing the road, but now we have the signs of zebra crossing all over. Well, actually, it's the human being crossing. Maybe those who have some knowledge on the on traffic can one day explain to us how zebras are crossing the road while it's actually the human being crossing. Probably, maybe that notion maybe came when maybe the whites came to Africa and there were so many zebras crossing. So they started to paint. And even if you look at the painting, you see the tarmac is black or dark most of the time. Then they add the white. That is actually like the skin color of the zebra. A dark one or something like that and a white crossing. So it's zebra crossing. How the zebra crossed, that one I don't know. But I've never seen zebra crossing. I've only seen human being crossing over. So that zebra is called pundamilia. Pundamilia. Then let's go ahead a bit now to the other part. We have, let me scroll down a bit. Wow. The hippo is here now. I told you last time my community eat hippo. But it's called kiboko. Kiboko. Very simple, kiboko. But also this kiboko, which is the hippo, it also means a cane. Cane for this case is not a sugar cane. It's a cane that we used to cane kids with. Whether which type of cane is it a plant cane? Is it those are the cane? But caning, the cane we used to cane or discipline kids is called kiboko in Swahili. But hippo, in terms of animal, is hippo we call kiboko. In one of the hotels in Kenya here, I think it's called Lake Naivasha Resort. There's a lake in Kenya, inland lake called Lake Naivasha. There's a big restaurant that has access to the lake directly. Like until the access to the lake is their private access. In that lake at around 5 p.m. every evening, the hippos get out of the lake. There's somebody who feeds them in the hotel, but just close to the lake. So most of the tourists go there at around 5, waiting for the man to call them. So he'll stand outside the lake and start clapping his hands. Even he has given them names. So you'll hear Lucy, I don't know who and who. And they were coming out of the water. Many of them, you just see them putting or sprinkling some water up as they breathe, they come out. They come out as many as even 10 or 20 of them. They come until they get to the hotel. Now once they get to the hotel, the guy will take the cabbages, the skumawiki, the kales, and in fact, to the surprise of so many, he'll just tell them to open their mouth, and they open their mouth, and they put everything inside their mouth. But the mouth is very wide, very wide. But then people have boat riding along that lake, so they just do a boat riding as you pass across the hippos. Those hippos, I think they've been tamed, so they're not that wild. So they'll just allow you to cross in between. I don't know how many of you will try that. But I was there, I didn't try it. As much as I'm born from the lake, I didn't try such nonsense. So that's that's playing with death. So to pass hippo. Sister Ida, hope you can try that.
Sorry, try.
Try to feed the hippos.
Kibuku.
Kiboko.
Kiboku.
It's called kiboko. What I'm saying, Sister Ida,
Yes, I'm listening.
I was narrating that there's a person who feeds them. He puts the hand, he tells them to open their mouth and put the food inside their mouth.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was saying maybe you can do that.
Me? No. I like to respect them at a distance.
And even some people do a boat riding in between them as they're in the lake.
Yeah. Oh, some people are very brave with animals. Me. The thought of being bitten by anything just scares me. So.
Sister Val can try that. I know. No. So we call them kiboko. But as I've said, kiboko is also a cane that used to cane kids or discipline the kids. Is called kiboko. Then we know farasi. I know we've come across farasi sometimes back. Farasi. which is the horse. There's a company in Kenya also running like a Uber company, Bolt company. They call their app Farasi. And to my surprise, it's a French company. But they're using our Swahili names to appear like it's a Swahili company. So people like Farasi because it's Swahili. So you use the Farasi cabs. You think that you're promoting an African thing. Well, in reality...
I was going to say, I think that Ferrari cars have a horse on them.
They also have a horse on them. Yeah. It's like they have a horse on them. I've seen something close to that.
Yeah, I think so. Ferrari.
Yeah. So, you see, but the now Swahili word is Farasi for horse. And it's now Ferrari for Ferrari, but now also Farasi, like an app they have for Bolt or Uber is called Farasi. Then we have Fisi. Very simple. Fisi. Fisi. Fisi is aina. Fisi. Very common in Kenya. Very common. Even when I was growing up, it could come to our home. Sometimes there's a day it took our little dog, the puppy. But Fisi is common. Fisi is also, for the younger generation, they use it as an informal language, like a slang. So when they say you are Fisi, or one, they either mean that you eat everything, you don't care, because Fisi eat everything, especially even the dead carcasses. They call the carcasses, they eat everything. Or Fisi can also mean you love women so much. So somebody call you a Fisi. Yeah, somebody call you a Fisi, it means you love either chasing after women. But that's to the younger generation. They tell you you're Fisi. When they tell you that as younger generation, we know what you say. Well, only Fisi. Okay, so it means this guy love either chasing after women.
Mm-hmm.
But Fisi is just hyena. Then here, there's word swara. It's not swala, it's swara.
Wow.
It's not L-A. It's a swara with an R, which is an impala. Swara. Swara.
Wow.
It's swara. Swara.
Okay. Even though it's spelled with an L.
No, it's not an L. Whatever they're spelling with an L, you know, it's there's a what as I said, so you know, it has what you call dialects.
Swara.
So there's a dialect that pronounces it as swala. But the formal one that you use common in the Swahili standardized is swara with an R. So swara with an R, that's what you use commonly, which is an impala. Of course, if you go to other community, like I know the Ungunja guy in Zanzibar there, they later call it swala instead of swara. Because they have deep dialects on the same. So you find them calling it swala. But also there are community in Kenya who cannot pronounce an R. So where there's an R, they tend to put an L. Intentionally, but if you tell them to, not intentionally, naturally, but if you tell them to write, they will not put that L. And there's a community also that do not have an L. Where there's an L, they put an R. So even if they pronounce it, you think like, what is this guy saying? But if you ask them to write it, they'll write it directly the way it is. So like for example, the word lala, which means sleep. One of the Bantu community who are our neighbors in my community, the neighboring community, can't say lala. Instead of saying lala, they'll say rara. So they tend to come out with an R instead of an L, where L is supposed to be. So they say rara. And you wonder what are they saying. But if they have to write it, they will not put that R, they will put an L. But if you tell them to read it, they will not read that L. They'll read that L as an R. Same to my community, where there's an S, like the word Fisi, it's very hard for us to bring the S in my community. So we'll put an H to say fishy. We end up putting an H So it's become a fishy instead of a fishing. And then it's one of the it's one of the effects of our mother tongue that sometimes we transfer even to Swahili or English that you cannot sometimes run away from. So as I've said, some community will have an swala, some will have swara. But the standardized one is swara with an R, swara. I think we did mdudu. It's just a repetition here of insects. Now we have chui and simba. The other one is chui. So you just say chui. Chui is the leopard, chui. Then you have simba. I know simba, most of you know simba. So simba is the lion. Simba. In my community, simba means the first house you build it at home. No, or in my community is that when you're an adult of my age, before you go build your home, you build first of all where your parents' homestead is, where you are born, in the homestead of in the compound of your parent. Now the first house you build in that compound is called simba. In my language, simba. Same spelling, but you say simba. Then after you've built that house for some years, maybe 4 to 3 years, is when you are allowed now to go out in your own land and build your home. So you cannot walk from your family directly to build a home if you have not built the simba within the house, within your father's homestead. And then it's always like the last born in the family was built within the father's homestead will not walk away. With them, they don't go out to build their homestead somewhere else. They inherit the compound of the parents. So they will not relocate. They might just change a house to a bigger house, but they remain within the compound. So that land where the compound of the parents is, remain the land of the last born. Then in my community is also in order. So the firstborn must first of all build the simba first. That so-called simba, which is the small house. And you build it on the right hand of the house. Firstborn will build it on the right hand. Once the firstborn has built the simba, the secondborn will build on the left hand. Then the third will go on the right, the fourth will go on the left, like that, you exchange like that. And the secondborn is not allowed to build the house before the firstborn build the house in the compound. So even if the secondborn is richer and the firstborn is poor, the secondborn cannot build until the firstborn builds. So either you help the firstborn to build the house first so that you can build your house. So that's the simba thing in terms of my community. But in Swahili and in animals, simba is lion. That's a bit story of my community thing in relation to the word simba.
Brother Pigeon, when you say they build a house, first one is on the right, the second is on the left. Is it of the main house? The first will build on, or is it a road? So one will build on right and the other on the left of the road.
What happens in the family setup, you see the father will build the house at the center of the land. For example, if you're in a compound, so at the center of the compound is where the father builds the house. You don't build a house at the fence, so you build it at the center, and somewhere far towards the edge, at the top part of the house, the compound, towards the top part. So you build the father will build the house at the center there. Now sometimes when the father has 2 wives, then he will not build the house at the center. He will build for the first wife the house at the right side of the fence, and the second wife will be having a house at the left side of the fence in the same compound. But in a situation where the father is having one wife or one, sometimes they also can have 2 wives with the same one house. So when the father builds at the center of the compound, and the house will face towards the gate, the door of the house face towards the gate, and always, sorry, the compound, as I've said, will always, the door of the house, of the main house, the father's house, will always face towards the gate. Now, when when it faces the gate, the gate will always be at the lower part of the compound, not to the top. The gate cannot be behind the house. The gate will always be in front of the house, which means where the door of the house faces. That's where you get the gate. Now, when it happens like that the father house is at the center, and other houses of now the firstborn will be on the right side of the compound. Because you see, the father's house is at the center. So the right hand of that compound is where the firstborn will build a small house. It's not the permanent house, it's always a small house, a startup house. Of course, you are allowed to marry there, you from that house first. Then the second born will now build on the left side of the same compound, left of the main house, which is at the center.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that's the procedure. And no one can cross. So you are not allowed as a second born to build on the right. And the second born is not allowed to build a house before the firstborn, irrespective of how rich he is. Same with our sisters. The second born cannot be married before the firstborn. Yeah, so those are just little traditions. And that house, the small house, we call it now Simba in my community, Simba. And you can stay there as many years you want. You can even stay 5 years or even 10 years. But from there, the firstborn will always move out of that homestead and will build our home now in his own homestead. But the lastborn will be left in that compound. He can only change a house with the compound, but he cannot leave the compound. He's the one who takes care of the property of the homestead of the parents. He inherits that land. Okay, sorry for the moving away from the lesson a bit, but that's what is Simba in my community. Then we have Kima. These are almost type of the same monkeys. You know, we had the Sokwe, Tumbili, now this is Kima. This is very common in Kenya, which is now the main monkey. Others only might confuse them to call them Nyani. Well, Nyani is not this one. Nyani is a bigger one, closer to gorilla one. But Kima is this one. But if you come to Kenya and ask many people, they'll tell you it's called Nyani. While in real sense is the Kima. It's very common where I was growing up. So it can come in the house, eat your food, you can put food on your hand, it comes and pick and go, and you see something black at the front, it always breastfeeds. Most of them breastfeeds from the front. So that's called Kima. Then we have the other small one here called Panya. This one, Panya, mouse, Panya. Panya, Panya. Can you try that? Panya, Panya.
Panya.
Yeah. Panya. So Panya is the mouse. Then the ostrich is Mbuni. 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 That's the ostrich. Mbuni. Then remember when you were talking about ng'ombe last time, I said the ox. It's called ng'ombe dume. Ng'ombe dume. Actually, dume means male. So cow male or male cow. Ng'ombe dume. Ng'ombe dume. So the dume aspect means everything male is dume. So it's a male cow. What now the English call ox. Then you have kasuku. 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 Pouting one. Kasuku. Yeah. And then we have this, the beautiful one, called Tausi. Tausi. You say Tausi. You bring the U. So it's Tausi. 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 We call it the beautiful one because it's actually cat walks around. tausi. Then you have nguruwe. Now this will be very hard. Let's go slowly. It's nguruwe. 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 Nguruwe is the pig. Then you have chatu. Chatu is the python. It's common all over Africa. Very common. So we call it chatu. Well, chatu, that's python. Well, the word nyoka, nyoka is snake. Nyoka. Snake. So any snake we just call general name of the snake is nyoka. But this one is called chatu. It's a snake, yes, but it's a python. It's called chatu. Then the rabbit is sungura. 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 That's the rabbit. Sungura. Then you have kifaru. 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 Kifaru is the rhino or the rhinoceros. The rhinoceros or the rhinoceros is, but you know this rhino. Kifaru. Yeah. Now you see where there are most of ki, as I told you, the plural goes to V. So we have vifaru for that case. But kifaru, vifaru. Then the shark, we call it papa.
Why?
Why? Yes?
That's father.
No, father is not the BB, not the PP.
Sorry?
Father is a BB, not a PP.
Okay.
So you see the way there's a P, where there's a P, if you replace that P with a B, it's a father.
Papa.
Yeah, for example, let me just text it somewhere. So for a father is Baba. Baba. Baba is the father. Well, for the shark is Papa. So you see the difference is in the consonants. So the consonant Baba is a B, Papa is a P. That's the difference. Then we have Kondo. I think we're almost finishing this. We have Kondo. It's called Kondo. Can you try that? Kondo.
Kondo.
Yeah, Kondo. Kondo. That's the sheep. Now we are almost done, so let's just finish it, even though we've taken time, but we are left with 4. So let's just finish it so that we don't go part 3 of this. Let's just finish the 4 or 5 remaining. Now you see, I'd said nyoka is the snake. Nyoka. Then we have kobe. Kobe. Kobe or makobe. Kobe. Kobe is the tortoise.
Yeah. I'm laughing at nyoka because even in my Xhosa language, it's the same.
Snake is the same as nyoka.
Yeah, in my Xhosa language, inyoka.
Oh, you add the I in nyoka.
Yeah.
That's the name in Swahili, nyoka.
Very interesting.
Then now kobe is the tortoise.
Tortoise.
Then remember we had the bata. Do you remember bata is the duck? Bata.
Yeah.
Now we have bata mzinga.
Bata nzinga.
Not is
Nzinga.
So bata mzinga
Nzinga.
is the turkey. But among the youth again, the peers, the Gen Zs and the millennials, the word mzinga, the mzinga, is the name we have given to an alcohol. 750 ml is the most celebrated alcohol in terms of the capacity, the size. So any alcohol which is 750 ml, we call it mzinga. So if people tell you, I want mzinga, if they go to the wine and spirit or in the pubs and they say mzinga, the waiter knows they want 750 ml of any type of alcohol. It's called mzinga. Yeah. So that's the word the most of the Gen Zs and millennials use here, mzinga. Well, the mzinga. Another mzinga is the to us mzinga is where you keep the bees. That beehive is called mzinga. But mzinga is the alcohol 750 ml, but mzinga is the turkey. Then you have kasa, just like an akasa of a laptop. Kasa is turtle. Kasa. Then you have this person called ngiri. Ngiri is the warthog. Just ngiri is a warthog. It tend to forget a lot. But in Kenya, the same ngiri is also slang language used for 1,000 shillings. So 1,000 Kenya shillings is called ngiri. So you can say ngiri moja or ngiri mbili. But that is informal Swahili. It's not formal. Because formally, we call it elfu. Elfu. So it can be elfu moja or elfu mbili. But if you go around in formal sectors and somebody tell you ngiri moja, they basically mean 1,000. I think because our initial 1,000 was having warthog picture. The picture behind the 1,000 in our Kenya was having warthog. So I think people then call it ngiri. That's how they decided to call 1,000 shillings ngiri. Then you have we have talked about pundamilia, the zebra, pundamilia. So the one we have not talked about is nyangumi. Nyangumi.
Nyangumi.
Yes, nyangumi.
Nyangumi.
Yes, nyangumi is the whale. That is it. Nyangumi is the whale. That's the end of our animal lesson. Any question? I know we've covered a lot today, but maybe when the recording is out, you can go and review it slowly because we've covered so many of the animals today. But I wanted us to do so that we don't go to part 3 of this. Any of them that were sounding very crazy, very interesting, maybe in 2 minutes, because we can close in 3 minutes. Anybody who have any comment or any question in regards to these names of animals or any animal you want to ask more about in terms of pronunciation?
Yes, my lord. I want to ask if you can send these pictures in the group so we can start, or you can't make
Okay.
like homework sort of.
Okay, what I can do, do you have the copy of this book?
No, can you please send it to me? I don't want that.
Yeah, I can send a copy of this book in the Kiswahili class so that you can go back to the chat around from page 46 to 48, what you have covered today, so that you can also reread them. That can be better than sending a screenshot. But I'll also send the recording tomorrow because I do upload all recordings on Wednesday. So I'll send the recording tomorrow again of this lesson so that when you have the book and the recording, you can actually memorize the pronunciation. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's good, my brother. Keep thanks.
Give thanks. Any other question or concern?
Yes, the two names for tortoise.
Which one? Kobe and Makobe.
Kobe
And Makobe.
and Makobe.
Yeah, but why two names?
No, to us is the plural of it. So Kobe is one. Makobe is 2 or 3 Kobes. We call them Makobe. I don't know if English also have tortoises or is tortoise to English. You see, in some pattern, you find English just call it. English do not have a plural of tortoise. I think it's called just tortoise, as it is here. So when they put a stroke, it means it's tortoise in singular and tortoise in plural. When there's a stroke in Swahili, it means tortoise, Kobe in singular, and Makobe in plural. Just the same way you have casa in singular, and in plural it still remains casa. But if you look at English, it's turtle and turtles. So it means in Swahili, the vocabulary or the word changes based on plurality. So for example, in Kobe, the many Kobes are called Makobe. But tortoise, many tortoise is still tortoise in English. Just the same way you look at the ngiri. Ngiri is both in singular, we call it ngiri. So we don't have mangiri as plural of warthog, but English has the plural of warthog as warthogs. So here, when you want to make plural, we can just say ngiri moja, which means one warthog, or ngiri mbili, which means 2 warthog. But we remain with ngiri, so we bring one as in moja, or ngiri mbili, or tatu. We only add the numbers. But in English, when they say warthogs, you just know it's more than one. But so now we'll go to stress either it's 1 or 2 because it remains ngiri and ngiri like that. Any last comment? We are on top of our time. Any question? It's exactly 40 here, 10:40. Any question? Okay. Yeah, so as I've said, I'll send the recording and I'll share this book immediately after this class for us to catch up. We are almost close to the informal. If you have realized, we have not concentrated in doing the reading or especially the reading part we have not been doing. Because here we've been concentrating on, first of all, the vocabularies. So once you know as many vocabularies as possible, even when you go to the reading, you can easily understand what you're reading. You can say, okay, this is butter, which means it's a duck. So all this part has been only vocabularies. We are almost ending vocabularies. Once you end a vocabulary, you might have extra 2 lessons or 3 lessons for reading. And that might be towards the end of our short study of Swahili. So here, we are just concentrating on too much of vocabularies that you need to have first. And that's what we've been doing all along. So thank you very much. I'll be closing with one of my the Swahili song, but you are free to leave at now. If you have anything else, feel free to leave as I play one song of Swahili. You can leave at your own pleasure. So thank you very much for your time today. Let's meet again on Tuesday next time.
Thank you all very much. Bye-bye. Thanks, Brother Pigeon.
That's why I don't mind being.
Asante sana.
Karibu sana or karibu tena. Welcome again. That would be better. Karibu tena.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me play one of my old music here, which is in with the Swahili. Oh. Okay. This is a Lingala one.
Okay.
This song I'm playing is not Swahili. It's actually Lingala from Congo, but is most loved by old men around.